I just got back to Hanoi, and I'm only telling this now. Not because I was scared, but because I needed to be sure I was actually safe before I opened my mouth. 3 days in Ninh Binh. I didn't think that trip would be the one I almost didn't come back from. A lot of things happened, but the thing that haunts me most isn't the cave, isn't the mountain road at 1:30 in the morning. It's the driver, and what he said to me in the middle of nowhere with not a single streetlight in sight. So, are you getting off or not? Day 29, Trang An. I arrived in Ninh Binh on the afternoon of the 29th, alone, no plans. I was there for work the next day, so I figured I'd travel for a few days while I was at it. Checked into the homestay, got ready. By then it was already late, but I was bored, so I decided to go to Trang An anyway. I got on a boat around 5:10 p.m., last boat of the day, very quiet. On the boat besides me, there was just the boatwoman and a couple, 4 people total. The ride out was fine. It was summer, so the sun set late. Around 5 or 6 p.m., it was still fully bright, but on the way back, we had to pass through several caves, 3 or 4 of them. By then it was getting dark, and that's when everything started. We were all strangers. None of them could have known my name. But every time the boat entered a cave, I heard something calling my name, over and over, rapid. The sound felt like it was coming from inside my own head. My head hurt badly, but there was nothing I could do about it. I looked around. The boatwoman kept rowing. The couple sat quietly. No one heard anything. Just me. The worst was when we entered the longest cave. Looking back now, it probably wasn't that long, but at the time it felt endless. No light, no way out visible. And the voice calling my name got clearer, more urgent. In the other caves, I only heard a female voice, but in this one, I heard all kinds of voices. Then there was another sound, different from the others, not calling my name, just pushing. Take off your life jacket, jump in, go under. I sat completely still, both hands gripping the side of the boat. I knew if I couldn't control myself, I would actually die there. I'm not scared of ghosts, but I'm scared of dying, so I understood how dangerous this was. I asked the boatwoman, "How much longer until we're out of this cave?" No answer. Asked again, nothing. Third time, still nothing. At my volume, she had to have heard me, but she didn't turn around, didn't react, just kept rowing. I didn't dare turn around to look at her, because in my head I kept imagining if I turned around, she would be smiling. That kind of smile. So I didn't turn around. I just prayed to my ancestors, following instinct because I didn't know the proper words. After I prayed, the voice pushing me to jump went away, but the voice calling my name kept echoing for a long time after. When the boat trip ended, I stepped back onto the dock. Quiet, very quiet. Just me and the couple from the boat. I was scared to walk alone, so I stayed close behind them. But somehow, when I looked up, they were gone. I wandered around that dock for almost 10 minutes, going in circles, couldn't find the way out. And in my head, laughter. Soft, giggling. Not the sound of a real person. It got louder every time I walked in the wrong direction, like something was enjoying watching me get lost, deliberately leading me the wrong way. I stopped, looked down at the surface of the water by the dock. The water at night was black. but it still reflected my shadow. I looked at my reflection, then went completely still, because beside my shadow was another shadow, standing directly behind me. An Au Baba top, long hair, standing perfectly still, like it had been standing there for a long time. I spun around. No one, just the empty dock, darkness, and the soft sound of water lapping against the boats. I stopped praying to my ancestors. I begged it directly instead. I don't remember exactly what I said, just that I asked it to let me go. After about 5 minutes of that, I saw a group of boat workers finishing their shift. I followed them out. Didn't look back. Back at the homestay that night, I finally calmed down. But one question kept circling in my head. How did it know my name? As far as I know, it can only follow you if someone has called your real name out loud. But no one on that boat had called my name. Then I remembered. When I bought the ticket at the dock, the ticket seller asked for my name to register it on the electronic ticket. I said my name out loud, standing right at the dock entrance, near the water, in the open air. And something that doesn't belong to this world was already there, and heard it. From that moment on, it knew. From that night on, I kept a small knife in my bag and waited for the next day. On the 30th, I went to a music festival. Came home very late. Around 1:30 a.m. on the 31st, I finally booked a ride back to the homestay. I was staying in Tam Kok, about 20 kilometers from the venue. Late at night, there weren't many ride apps available. Couldn't get a car, had to take a motorbike. The worst decision I ever made. The driver took a detour through the mountains to avoid traffic on the main road. The entire stretch of road had not a single streetlight. The only light was the headlamp of the bike, which honestly meant almost nothing at 1:30 in the morning. On the left was a lake, on the right was the mountain range, and the moment we turned onto that road, my head started pounding. I knew something was about to happen. I asked the driver, "Is there another way to go? This road is really scaring me. My hands are shaking." No answer. I asked again, third time, fourth time. He said nothing, just kept going faster. I tapped his shoulder, once. Nothing. I tapped him over and over. He didn't flinch, didn't turn, didn't say a word, just kept riding. Then he stopped, suddenly, right there between the mountains and the lake. No reason. He turned and looked at me. "Get off." I asked why. "Just get off." "You're telling me to get off in the middle of nowhere in complete darkness? Why?" He looked at me. "So, are you getting off or not?" His face at that moment, I don't know how to describe it. But I didn't argue anymore. I just begged him to wait until someone came to pick me up. I was a girl, alone. He couldn't just leave me in the middle of the mountains at 1:30 a.m. He agreed, sat and waited. Didn't say another word. I called my ex. He had also been working at the festival and was nearby. After I got in his car and told him roughly what had happened, he said immediately I shouldn't stay in Ninh Binh anymore. We had to go back to Hanoi tonight. I agreed. Left my luggage at the homestay. Figured I'd deal with it later. But life doesn't go the way you hope. About 3 minutes into the drive, the car stopped, in the middle of the road. No reason. The car had been running perfectly fine, and then just stopped. He checked everything. Nothing wrong with the car. It just stopped, right there, between the mountains, beside the lake. And the thought in my head was very clear. It won't let me leave. My ex called his mother for help. While he was on the phone, I looked out through the car window. The window had dark tinted film, couldn't see clearly outside, just darkness, and a faint shape of a person standing right outside the glass. I tried to see more clearly, couldn't, too dark. Then, a flash of lightning. Light burst through for just a fraction of a second, and I saw her. A woman's face, pressed flat against the glass, nose touching, eyes wide open. Long hair, purple al-baba. Her face 1 hand's width from mine, only the window between us. I froze, couldn't move, couldn't speak. Then the darkness came back, and she was gone. In my head, a female voice said it wouldn't let me leave this place. I understood what that meant. I would die here. I thought that was the last moment of my life. I kept asking in my head why it was doing this to me. It didn't answer. About 4 minutes later, the call ended. My ex hadn't noticed anything different about me this whole time. He said we should both pray together, ask our ancestors to protect us. I did. About 10 minutes later, the headache eased a little. The car started normally. At that moment, I had a very strong feeling. I shouldn't leave Ninh Binh tonight. I didn't know if that feeling was right, but I chose to trust it, because I believed it was my ancestors warning me. If I forced myself to go back to Hanoi that night, not just me, but my ex might get pulled into it too. So I decided to go back to the homestay, alone. Before my ex left, I asked him to drape cloth over every mirror in the room. Then I turned on every single light, blasted loud music on the TV, to keep what was left of my sanity together. Everything was okay until almost 3 a.m. That's when I started hearing very loud banging on the outside of the window. Not wind, the sound of hands hitting the glass. Then knocking on the room door. A voice that sounded like the homestay manager. "Are you back yet?" I thought about it. No one knocks on a guest's door at 3 a.m. to ask if they're back yet. I didn't answer. The banging on the window and the knocking on the door kept getting more intense, for about 10 minutes. But because it went on so long, I knew it didn't have enough power to actually get into the room. So I turned the music up louder, closed my eyes, and at some point, I fell asleep without realizing it. I had a dream. Someone told me I had to leave for Hanoi on the 31st between 3 and 4 in the afternoon. If possible, have my ex take me, because he could protect me on the road. I don't know if that dream was real, but when I woke up, I called him immediately, and he came. We left in that window of time. Safe. Back in Hanoi, I lit incense for my ancestors, went to the temple immediately. Sitting here now, there are still so many questions I can't answer. Why didn't the boatwoman respond, no matter how many times I asked? Why didn't the motorbike driver respond, no matter how many times I tapped him? And what I saw reflected in the water at the dock, what I saw pressed against the car window, I believe it was the same thing. Not like in the movies, not a white dress floating in the dark. Purple ao-ba-ba, long hair, a face that looked completely human, except for the smile, which I won't describe. There's one more thing. I only checked this after getting back to Hanoi. I opened the app, looked for the ride history. The trip back to the homestay on the night of the 30th, the one where the driver told me to get off in the middle of the mountains at 1:30 a.m. It wasn't in my history. I had booked it outside the app, so there's no record, which means I have no way to confirm whether the driver that night was actually a person. Ninh Binh is beautiful. If you haven't been, you should still go. Not everyone has experiences like this. Just one thing. Don't go to Trang An after 4 p.m.